Well, hello there and welcome to the A Bedroom of the Dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Hugh Stelfers for December 25th, the day of the supernatural. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of the supernatural. Well, we have us an image of, and I'm not quite sure on this one here. Boom, what is it? It seems to be some kind of fruit coming off of a branch there. And it's got some kind of, well, I'd like to say, supernatural inner universe there, it would seem. I don't know, all the little things emanating from the core or the pit, if you like. That's right. I don't know. Does that speak to something supernatural? Who's to say? But not altogether all too important. Maybe we'll make some connotations as we get on with the read. But that being said, what is important around here is it's December 25th, and hence it's somebody's birthday. That's right. So if it's your birthday today, I just want to say happy birthday. That's what's important. Me wishing you a happy birthday. But if this video finds you late, as things oftentimes do, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may be, well, I hope you had a happy birthday, if that's the instance that we're coming upon here. That said, there's also folks that join us randomly, or more ideally, to celebrate the December 25th birthday, and if that's the case, I just want to say thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, I like to roll some dice. That's right, this is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake by rolling some dice. But I do so more importantly for synchronicity's sake. That's right. And here I rolled a 5 and a 2 for a 7. That's right. Now, what is synchronicity? You're probably wondering. Well, folks, a lot of times we get out into the world going after our errands, getting to the job and the like, and we got the blinders on. That's right. We're real narrow of focus as we get on with this life. And so a lot of times we don't notice the things going on around us. And it's, as it's been told to me, the universe or the powers that be will put things in our path to help us realize our goals and our aspirations. But if you got those blinders on, hey, you're not necessarily going to see those things. So this is an exercise to help you get those blinders off. That's right. And notice the things the universe might be putting in your path. And we're doing so with a very direct instance. We're agreeing with the universe to show us something that we can't mistake. That's right. Some numbers. So that said, you don't have to go with the numbers I rolled for you. The intention is there, but it's ideal you take your own set of dice if you're going to get out there and try to drum up some synchronicity. Or coincidences, as some folks might say. That's right, let's stack up some coincidences. That said, you ascribe directional values to number sets and also time limits with which to go in those directions. But once you figure out a place to start from, I don't know, take the downtown square perhaps, get your directional value, your time limit, and you set off. But that's it. Get those blinders off. Start soaking things up like a sponge, all right? You never know if the day is going to start to maybe take on a little bit of a theme. And you never know what that theme may be unless you're eagle-eyed for the things that are starting to present themselves. Like, for instance, somebody says something about a car sometime, just in passing, and then you start seeing that car all over the place. That's right. There's a interesting little thing there to be said about that. But that might not just be a car. It might be, I don't know, some kind of exotic fruit, right? Something like the visual representational image, whatever that might happen to be. A plum or something. That said, you take off, maybe you reach the end of your first time limit, and there's no signs to be had, nothing that you saw of note. That's all right. Hey, look around. Maybe you see a street sign. Maybe you just so happen to be on, boom, 25th Street. Maybe so. Hey, I would take that as a sign that you're on the right path. That being said, if that's not the case, well, hey, just roll your dice again, get another time limit, see where it takes you. I don't know, maybe you stop in front of a fruit stand. Hey, maybe you stop in front of a fruit stand at the end of your time limit there. And hey, you know what? Maybe buy yourself an apple. See what you see. Maybe when you bite into that apple, what do you notice? Hey, instead of like a white flesh on the inside, maybe it's red. Maybe it's pink. You know what? I've seen that happen before. The person was like, oh my God, I've never had a pink apple before. It could happen. Wouldn't that be a nice little magical tacit to your otherwise interesting little endeavor here? That's right. So once again, roll your dice, see what you see. Maybe once again, you head off and reach the end of your time limit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the number, oh, what is this? Boom, 25 bus pulls up. Hey, I know you probably don't like to ride the bus, but you know what? Maybe you just so happen to have some leftover change from that apple, and it's exactly what you need to ride. So you know what? Get on there. I know you probably don't like to do it, but hey, roll your dice immediately for a time limit. Time value. See how long to stay on the bus. Maybe by the time that time limit's up, you get off and you just so happen to be on, oh, who's to say? Once again, maybe the number 7 stop, all right? Just take these things in earnest, all right? And be eagle-eyed to such things. Maybe there's nothing to speak of when you get off the bus. Well, hey, look for anomalies. You know what? See anything that might stand out. Maybe you notice somebody in a red shirt and everybody else is just wearing, I don't know, pasty colors out there. Maybe roll your dice and see where that person's going. See how long to follow them for. Just give them a little bit of a buffer there so it doesn't look like you're stalking them. But if they notice you're stalking them, you know what? Just be clear, transparent on about what you're doing. Show them the dice. Show them this video, and you know what? More often than not, people are going to be open to it because it's too crazy to be fiction, right? And that said, hey, you never know. They might just join you. And if they do, you know what? Even better, because the more people that are involved comes with stronger manifestations. That's right. So I think you get the idea. Get on out there on your birthday. See, taste, touch, maybe even smell a little bit of magic. Get you some pink inside apples, who's to say, and just let the universe that's inside expand for you like the visual representational image. All right, let's get on with your birthday read. Your month is December, your day is the 25th, your sign is 2 to 4 degrees Capricorn of the Sagittarius Capricorn Cusp. The last day of it, I believe. Let's see here. Yes, it is, the last day of the cusp, and your quality and elements is a Cardinal Earth. All right, December 25th, the day of the supernatural. All right, December 25 people like to experience firsthand the more unusual side of life. It is that which releases us from mundane concerns that awakens their interest, often the quest for heightened or exalted states. And they may reach such states through forms of art such as music and dance, through religious experience, or perhaps imagination alone. However, the less highly evolved of this day may seek to escape from the demands of life or personal problems through a variety of means, stimulants or addictive substances or sensational diversions, etc., it says in parentheticals. And for many December 25 people, peak experiences have more to do with achievement and concrete deeds than with fanciful thoughts or imagination. Yet, such accomplishments may still have a fantastical side, and December 25 people are likely to push their abilities and talents to the outer edges of the envelope. And indeed, even the less exceptional people born on this day tend to go the extra mile where their career, hobbies, or interests are concerned. And generally speaking, they place greater emphasis on transcending personal or social limits than on accumulating wealth or power. Regardless of what their ultimate goal happens to be, most December 25 people are risk takers. And if business people, they are not ones to sit on their investments. If artists or craftspeople, they are unlikely to grow complacent over the quality of their work. And as family members, they tend to strive for a group ideal that rises far beyond everyday comforts and concerns. However, those born on this day must beware of overreaching themselves, as they may jeopardize the well-being of those dependent on them, or perhaps unconsciously give in to self-destructive impulses. And because December 25 people tend to be so focused on reaching, attaining, and transcending, they may in fact be missing out on some of what is going on at the present time, right now, around them. And therefore it is important that those born on this day learn to savor the moment and relax a bit and sometimes even bask in the glow of their achievements. And in this regard, December 25 people are fortunate when they have friends and loved ones who bring out their more playful side and allow them to take life a bit less seriously. And a large part of appreciating the state of things, life as it is, necessarily involves acceptance of imperfection, both in themselves and of others, it says in parentheticals. And indeed, when those born on December 25 can come to terms with the mundane world around them, the peak experiences they attain will be more meaningful and their accomplishments more lasting. All right, I like that breakdown. I liked it quite a bit there. I like to segue into conveying some notes here, see what kind of connotations or connections we can make with days previous, or just kind of what I had to say in general. So let's dive into some notes, shall we? December 25, the day supernatural there, or the supernatural rather. People who like to experience the more unusual side of life, it said. Your interests is awakened from the mundane when questing after heightened or exalted states, which can be realized through the likes of the humanities or spiritual happenings. Even the imagination, it said. At least those of you who are higher evolved, rather. At least that's what the reading claims, okay? Others perhaps seeking escape in more damaging or dangerous means, both to the psyche and the body, all right? So avoid that if you can, it sounds like. That said, the reading conveys your accomplishments will speak more to the meaningful things and experiences in your life than what you are possibly taken to imagine. Though it sounds a bit like shooting for the stars to land on the moon to me. Or at least kind of one of those situations there. At least if your endeavors do in fact push the very limits of not just the envelope, but your abilities and your talents to realize a still fantastical side. Even if that's not something you're geared towards, it sounded like. So realistic concerns aside, I would say there's still a lot of value in entertaining your imagination and your fantasies, to which you may be apt to agree with the reading's claim that you may hold transcending personal and social limits over wealth and power. All right, that's if that holds true in any event. To that end, the reading claims you're risk takers, and it mentions how this may be realized depending upon what lot in life you gravitate toward, but also warns of potential pitfalls that you may find yourself in when you overreach, all right? Not just the risking self-destruction of yourself, but also in your personal life. It probably extends to your professional life as well. But what else do we have here? But it's in realizing what's going on around you that they really make mention of trying to realize there, or trying to take a moment to, take pause, see what's going on around you. It's not only interesting to consider, but important also, I would argue, as you may find that your fantasy life isn't nearly as valuable without a little bit of present reality mixed in there, all right? At least mixed into the process of as much. Because I find a lot of times we need a little bit of a seed to germinate more things in our imagination, even if it's just ever so tiny, all right? The reading relates reasons that are a bit different in that regard, but no less valuable to consider, like enduring the mundane so that your fantasies are more meaningful. And they also said, see, really tiny, I wrote it here, savoring what you've accomplished. That's right, just taking some time out to do as much. But that being said, this was a really rather narrow scope, or a narrowly focused birthday breakdown, but they really expanded on it within that scope, I would say. So sometimes they'll dive into like family situations and how you react to that stuff, and also like maybe what your childhood was like or how you act as parents. And they didn't really examine much of that here. But I would still say they rounded it out nicely, even though they were pretty laser focused. That being said, that's what I had to say about the breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. That's right. Let's see what else influences you here in your life. Well, supposedly there. All right. Those born on the 25th day of the month are ruled by the number 7, as 2 plus 5 equals 7. Oh, what did we get there? We got a 25. I didn't even notice that there. Synchronicity. How about that? Let's see here. Totally off track. It just dawned on me. And by the planet Neptune, which governs mystical and religious states. And because Neptune is the watery planet ruling visions, dreams, and psychic phenomena, December 25 people can be prone to unstable influences. And the connection between Neptune and Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, can grant both self-control and material fortune. However, on the unfavorable side, it can also point to confusion, unreality, and physical maladies. Conflicts may be indicated by the presence of two very different energies. To say Saturn with its everyday reality, responsibility, and maturity, and Neptune with its illusion, metaphysical thought, and dissolving bonds. All right. Highly personalized numbers and planet entry for you here today. Sometimes they kind of copy paste these things over when they can, but here, because of the cusp, I would argue they couldn't really do that, so they had to examine it to some extent. But I might be getting ahead of myself. Let's dive back into the notes, see what I had to say. Hopefully it's not redundant. I've covered bases already, so let's get into it. At number 7 in the watery planet Neptune for rulership over visions, dreams, and a psychic phenomena. All right. And the reading conveys warnings of Saturn's effects on Neptune, conflict specific, but it doesn't mention the co-rulership of Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. That's part of that cusp there with Saturn, which is also in conflict with Saturn, all right, based on your cusp period. Let's see, but considering that is the last day of the cusp and Jupiter's on the way out there, it makes a certain kind of sense that it's possibly drawn to the absence of mentioning as much. That said, don't discount it, all right? I say you need every bit of the jovial optimism, luck, and expansive help that Jupiter is said to impart, all right? Especially if there's a baked-in conflict with Neptune and Saturn, because there's a baked-in conflict with Jupiter and Saturn also. Jupiter's the expansive planet of optimistic endeavors. It's jovial. It's also expansive in philosophical thought. And Saturn is more constrictive and more about responsibility and conservative. So it's in direct conflict with Jupiter and also Neptune. So you got a little bit of frustration perhaps baked in there. A lot of other days had it as well. So you're not alone in that regard. That said, if you find yourself with some frustration, hey, I would just chalk it up to Saturn, right? You know, but make sure you're breaking old Jupiter out there and trying to take in a little bit of that optimism that it's said to impart, because you got that on your side, even if it doesn't feel like it. All right, because you're the tail end of the cusp there, but you're still in it. So that's right. But you aren't alone, like I said. That being said, that is your numbers and planets. So let's move on to your tarot. Oh, the tarot. One of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. But hey, it's in the book here. It's your birthday. We don't have to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards to inspire our fortunes or whatever, with our flights of fantasy, as you probably have here if the breakdown holds true. But yeah, let's see what it has to say. Maybe we can make some connections. And then after that, we can just leave it here in the book. That's right. So let's dive in. The 7th card of the major arcana is the Chariot, which shows an emperor-like figure moving through the world and manifesting his physical presence in a dynamic way. And the card may be interpreted to mean that no matter how narrow or precarious the correct path, one must continue on. And the good side of the card posits success, talent, and efficiency, but the bad side suggests a dictatorial attitude, a bad sense of direction. All right. The Chariot card. Okay, hey, what I have to say about your tarot here. The Chariot for moving through the world and manifesting your presence in a dynamic way. Does that sound like anybody we know? Well, at least by the breakdown's consensus, I would say it does. For an interpretation that no matter how narrow the correct path, we must continue on. All right? A rather apt card, I would argue, considering your path based on the breakdown. All right? It sounds just like it by my mind. Because you're said to be unique and dynamic, all right? That said, it's not lost on me. One may argue this could apply to just about almost anyone, right? Narrow and correct paths being what they are. But this day of exalted states being chased, however, and if you follow that and come out ahead, ostensibly finding the way to reconcile the the incongruities there, and whilst also staying grounded. All right, the card may just speak more to you than most others. That's right. So in a general sense, you're a little bit above that, I would say. That being said, that was tarot. That's what I had to say about it. So let's move on to your health. All right, your health. All right. As mentioned above, those born on December 25 must be careful around addictive substances, particularly coffee, amphetamines, alcohol, and hallucinogens. All right, and those born on this day tend to gravitate to those foods which stimulate them. For example, spicy or salty things, sugared drinks, or chocolate. And when such foods awaken their appetite or give them a sense of well-being, those born on this day may in fact feel better. But in the long run, they should concentrate on increasing fresh fruits and vegetable consumption, and in general stick to a diet built around grains, low-fat dairy, and moderate meat or fish consumption. And December 25 people are often suited for intense exercise, competitive or team sports. But they should, if possible, make such activities a regular part of their life rather than engaging in them sporadically. Very interesting health entry today, all right? Let's get into why, so I don't retread everything. All right, careful the addictive substances, all right? A common through line the past few days, but specifically because of Neptune, I would say. You're already heading the clouds with your illusions and fantasies, and the hallucinogens have been set on other days to make that even worse, for have negative connotations to it. So I didn't realize that while I was writing this, I don't think, but I think that's why that's in there. Particularly. All right. What else do I have here? Naturally, it's considering your penchant for escapism already. The reading does, however, drill down heavy on the diet here for a notable change. I say that because they haven't done that so much the past few days here. So maybe take note of those things. Here they were talking about fish and grains and low-fat dairy. The other days it was more about expanding your culinary, skills. And the only thing I could draw from that was like including fresh ingredients in the food you're making. I don't know, but here they got very specific about the foods. So again, maybe take note. What else do we have here? Mention of intense regular exercise, a word that I don't think they've used before for the exercise. Certainly vigorous and even combative have come up before as hyper extremes of as much, particularly when Mars enters the chat. But here for intense regular exercise, I couldn't really discern why they would pick that out for you here. So maybe take note. No apparent correlation as I wrote in the notes, okay? But as I was reading it, and I realized you have a Neptune influence heading in the clouds, there might be some argument to be made that it helps you get a little bit more grounded, all right? Maybe, just maybe, in the event. That's your health, so let's dive in with some advice. All right, some advice. See what they have to say here. Be realistic, all right? But don't lose your sense of awe and wonderment. Fight disillusionment, strike a bargain with the world, and be open to those compromises that make things a bit easier on yourself as well as others. And keep it light. All right, there we go. There's your advice. What I have to say. Had to write it in the book because I ran out of space on the page, so bear with me. My handwriting's tiny to fit in the book. Be realistic and don't lose your sense of awe, they said, all right? The sweeping theme / takeaway from today, I would argue, all right? And they don't often repeat as much in such apparent terms, so maybe take note. Fight disillusionment, they said. Don't let your dreams get the better of you, I would argue, all right? You may have to come down to earth to be sure you don't get lost, all right? Lost in the clouds, ostensibly. And maybe that's the bargain, all right? Earthly concerns help manifest the ethereal, if you like, perhaps. To say money and other people's help you realize your dreams. If anything, it'll help take some time out of the equation, because we can get a lot accomplished, but without other helping hands, it just takes a lot of time, all right? So money and help, help shorten that there. That being said, yeah, that's what I had to say. Bring that stuff in faster with other people's help, and you'll be right on track there. And stay a little grounded, all right? That being said, that's been your advice. So let's turn to your meditation. That's right, you get a meditation here. Money given is a gift. If it's paid back, then it was a loan. All right. I don't know how that applies, but hey, let's hear it one more time here. Money given is a gift. If it's paid back, then it was a loan. All right. That's your meditation there. It's your birthday, so I wouldn't do much good for you if I was to give you some interpretation or spin on it, so I'm just going to leave it with you. Though I don't have one, so you know what? Perfect. All right. Your medication, well, it could be medication. Your meditation in the can, as it were. Let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. All right. Let's see where you got the bulk there, the muscle mass, if you like, and where you're atrophied. That's right. Your strengths and your weaknesses. Oh, you only get 2 of each. Oftentimes it's 3. So maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. Who's to say? Your strengths, you're achievement-oriented, and you're bold. All right? Where's the fantasy and the dreams there? Who's to say? But your weaknesses, oh, let's hold up the objective mirror, but flip it to the side that blows up your face and shows off all the things maybe you're self-conscious about there. That's right. Your weaknesses. All right, your weaknesses. You're sensationalistic and you're restless. Interesting. Well, as I often like to say, our weaknesses can sometimes be strengths. It just depends on the situation. And I would argue that sensationalistic and restless, hey, those could be in the strength column, just depending upon the day. And sometimes I see weaknesses correlated as strengths, specifically impulsive. That one goes back and forth, all right? Just depends on the breakdown and the person it applies to. That being said, if you think you need to rein in your sensationalism and your restlessness, I don't necessarily see how restlessness lands down in there. Well, you're up all night and you got no energy? I don't know. But I would say that your strengths are going to help you get over those things, all right? You're achievement-oriented. Hey, you know what? I got to achieve getting over these weaknesses. And you're bold. You push the envelope. You're a risk taker, as they said. I think you're going to get those well in hand, if they even need to be, all right? Because I also like to argue not to just get rid of those lock stock, because you know what? They make us who we are. That's right. So in any event, those have been your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's move on to those born on this day. That's right. Not only when we dive into those born on this day do we get to see who shares your company. Something I like to do is apply a focus on their accomplishments and who they are, and kind of try to dovetail that into the idea of figuring out our passions. Because too often I get out in the world and meet folks and ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. They don't. But I don't think you can blame folks, because get out of school, right into a job. You gotta get the money to put the food on the table, keep the bed sheets clean on the weekends and all of that. And then, you know what? There's just no time at the end of the week to put into work to figure out what we got to do to figure out our passions. Only better said. That's right. I mean, it takes time and work to figure those things out. So a lot of times people don't know what those things are, all right? Let alone what we like to do outside of our passions. Shoot, that's a huge ask. So I figured this is the perfect way to maybe just get a little bit of inspiration from other folks who share your company. See what they did to get put in a book, and maybe, I don't know, fuel your fires to start putting in the time and the effort to figuring those things out. Because I think it's huge that we're jumping out of bed, doing backflips, either figurative or literal, to get into our day, eager to get on with our day, and getting some kind of fulfillment out of the things that we do and chase in this life, all right? Not just the fantasies, but making them real. That's right. So maybe me just putting the bug in your ear about it can help you get on that path. And even if you're on it, hey, you know what? It's just nice to see what lottery we drew, who shares our company. So let's dive into it, shall we? Those born on this day. We start off with Jesus of Nazareth. I wouldn't have thought he would have made it into the book, surprisingly. I don't know why. And all it says is traditional birth dates. And we also have Clara Barton, a Civil War nurse, an American Red Cross founder, and lived to the age of 91. We also have Robert Ripley, a cartoonist and creator of Believe It or Not. Oh, Ripley, believe it or not there. We have Sissy Spacek, a film actress. Rod Sterling, a 6-time Emmy Award-winning TV fantasy screenwriter and host of The Twilight Zone, The Night Gallery also, and was a World War II paratrooper, interestingly. We also have Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian president and Nobel Peace Prize winner for historic accord with Israel, and sadly assassinated. We also have Carlos Castaneda, an anthropologist and a sorcerer's apprentice, it says, and a writer of The Teachings of Don Juan. We also have Ernst Ruska, German Nobel Prize-winning physicist of the electron microscope, it says. Gernhard Hertzberg, a Canadian physicist and spectroscopist. Spectroscopist, I don't know how to say it any other way. Nobel Prize for chemistry there. We also have Ricky Henderson, Oakland A's outfielder, a single-season and all-time base-stealing leader, and also an MVP. We have Larry Sonka, or Kasonka perhaps, there's a C in front of it, football fullback, and he led the Miami Dolphins to a perfect season and a Super Bowl victory. We also have Annie Lennox, the rock musician and lead singer of the Eurythmics. Ronnie Cuber, a jazz baritone saxophonist and a band leader, as well as a composer. Helena Rubinstein, a Russian-born cosmetics manufacturer. Conrad Nicholson Hilton, a hotel founder, magnate, and the father of Nikki. It also says Barbara Mandrell, country singer of the Mandrell Sisters. We also have Giao Ying, a Chinese writer of Da Ji and her fathers. We also have Vladimir Tatlin, a Russian constructivist painter. Noel Redding, a rock bassist for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And Quentin Crisp, a writer of The Naked Civil Servants. All right, I know I butchered a few names in there, so let's make up for it on my side of things. It's not done in malice, it's just hooked on phonics. Doesn't often work for me with the names there, especially if there's a C in front of them. I was to say that. In any event, that has been those born on this day. I know it's a big-ass tall order to take inspiration, figure out our own passions based on someone else's ostensible success, but hey, maybe me just putting the bug in your ear about it, like I said, help you figure those things out. Because if there's anything else that I can wish for you on your birthday, if nothing else rather, it's that. It's that you figure out your passion and you have a drive to go to find something fulfilling, like I said. With that being said, we ran the gamut today of people. Some of them not necessarily supernatural, athletes and such, but they achieved some prosperity in their chosen field. So maybe, just maybe. That said, I found it interesting they didn't talk about what Jesus did. It's to say why they didn't include that. Didn't want to drum up any kind of animosity from the wrong individuals, I suppose. But in any event, that has been those born on this day, which essentially rounds out your birthday read. Except to say, your season is winter, your sign, once again, is Capricorn of the Sagittarius, Capricorn Cusp, and your quality and element is a cardinal earth. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's a different video altogether. I'll leave it at the end there for you to click on if you're interested in diving in further. But that being said, this has been December 25th, the day of the supernatural. From The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you, Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description. If you're interested in diving in further, save the hassle of having to type it in the browser there. It supports the channel in the bargain, which I appreciate. This thing makes a great coffee table, all right, outside of all the noise it might make there when people come over and they start arguing or agreeing with folks who don't necessarily see it that way. Like I said, it's going to get the conversation started, for better or for worse. The old ice broken. That being said, that's the book there if you're interested. Not altogether all too important in the scheme of things. And what is the scheme of things? That's right, it's someone's birthday. So me wishing you a happy birthday once again. That's what's important. That being said, everybody else that joined us to celebrate, hey, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed yourselves and you join us for your birthday read. That's right. But before I forget, that's right, your daily numbers. Oh, your 2 and your 5, 4, 7. That's right, a little bit of synchronicity in there as it was. I didn't even notice it at the top. Get out there, see, taste, touch, feel, maybe even smell a little bit of the magic and you'll understand why I brought it up more properly said. That's right. Maybe you'll find yourself an apple that's got pink flesh inside instead of the white stuff there. I've seen it happen, believe it or not. So that being said, once again, happy birthday, all right? Keep dreaming, but make sure you come down from the clouds once in a while. That's right. All right. Happy birthday.